I am your density. Welcome to Crush Fictionally. It's Michelle Varay, and with me, as always, is
Kimberly Trung.
And we are so excited to talk today about declarations of love, or the best declarations of love, and our two lovely guests that you will be hearing from. But I have a question for all of you. I think I know Kim's answer, but I'm not 100%. Do any of you believe in destiny? Maybe you believe in density. I don't know.
I believe in density.
I believe in density. Destiny,
I
fate,
hate science.
that the universe is like designed in a certain way.
No.
Interesting.
This is Lauren. No.
Not at all.
I don't. I mean, I love to think that it's real. I don't believe that there's a larger plan. I think it's all random collisions of molecules. Sadly.
I love that.
Density. Back to density.
Full circle.
It all
density.
comes back to density.
It sure does.
Christina, yeah.
I don't know what the universe's plan is, but there are so many times when I think of all the things that had to happen or not happen for Lo and I to meet each other. At such a weird, we met at Comic-Con, and we're both like living such kind of different lives in different states, and that we met and instantly liked each other and decided to start writing together, because who does that? Like, we didn't know each other that well. So there's something somewhere, like, I have to feel like something nudged us somewhere.
I love that.
So you two, actually, I constantly fluctuate where I'm like, oh, all of this can't be planned. That's crazy. We can decide our destiny, and other people decide our destiny, our lives and choices and what have you. But I also am so fascinated by coincidence, and I'm so fascinated by the idea of, like you said, Christina, all the millions of actions that had to be taken for this one moment to happen. That, to me, I find so incredibly fascinating. I just made fun of my boyfriend right before we started recording, but when I think about all the things that had to happen for him and I to cross paths in the first place, it's just insane. It's one of those things where I want to believe. I constantly say this joke as I'm the X-Files. I'm David Duchovny. I want to believe, but I'm also very skeptical, and it fluctuates by the day as to like where I'm leaning.
I think I'm skeptical in part because I don't like the idea that destiny implies that there wasn't a ton of work put into
that you didn't have your own choice, or like you didn't exercise
and that
it.
When Christina and I met, we made the choice to work together, and then from that day on, all of the things that we worked hard on to make the working relationship strong and to make the writing better and all of that, it's like those were things that we actively did, you know?
Yes.
So I do love the idea that like there was serendipity in us meeting. And I can't deny that when we are together working in the same room, there's just a different vibe than when we are in separate places. So I know that it's not just all, beep, boop, boop, robot stuff. But I do think, destiny sort of takes some of the choice out of where we are.
There's this song by the Wailers called Chances Are, and I think it's like the sweetest love song, one of the sweetest love songs. Kim and I have talked before, like, what are the chances? Like, what are the chances, the same that Kim and I know each other through working together, and what are the chances that we would meet that way? Like, I'm always struck by that. Like, if you run into somebody you haven't seen in a long time, or just exactly how you both described, like how you met, it's like, what are the chances that it would happen? And I kind of feel like I'm in the middle of the road. Like, there had to be something in the universe that aligned to put you at the same time together in Comic-Con, and that you had, like, to borrow from The Bachelor, like an instant connection, but you had like this really true connection. And I think that's so sweet. But I'm always struck by that, like all the things that had to happen, but it implies like a little bit of choice as well.
Right. Because
I don't know.
Oh, go ahead, Christine.
I don't know how many people read like acknowledgments in books, but it's funny because when we were writing the ones for Soulmate, like Lo wrote this line. So we always write something to each other where it's like, I think it says something like, we just wrote a book about soulmates. How about that? Because I just really think like soulmates aren't necessarily like the person you marry. And like I have no friends like Lo. I don't know anybody that I feel the way I feel about Lo with. It's just like such a weird, random thing. It's so funny. She got her vaccine and my husband got his on the same day. And I was like, both my spouses got vaccinated today.
That is so love sweet. That.
Oh my God. So you, look, I'm a big Sex and the City fan. I also acknowledge all the problems with it.
Are you going to just
know what I'm about
take
to
it
say.
Out of my brain? Kim, stop reading my mind.
Can I? My boyfriend makes fun of me all the time because he's like, you've seen this episode. I'm like, I've seen all these episodes like 40 times each. But the episode where Charlotte has her aha moment because she's like, deep in the weeds, trying to find her man, trying to find her husband. And she has that aha moment at the end of the episode where she's like, what if the four of us, we're each other's soulmates? And the men in our lives are just the people we have fun with. And I was like, yes, like the best writing ever. I was like, yes, I'm feeling this feminist, like female empowerment, like loving the woman, your best friend or whomever in your life. Like, I love that. I truly, that show, that line of dialogue put into words something I had in the back of my mind for quite some time, which is like, don't get me wrong. I think spousal love and relationship, and is important and it's special. But I hate that soulmates are tied purely to romance, and it can't be tied to like a platonic, what honestly is going to be an everlasting love, right? Friendship.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've
only seen a few episodes of Sex and the City. I've not seen that one.
Spoiled it for you.
So sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's an older episode.
Cable when it was on. There's all these things that people watch, and I'm just like, what was I doing during this time?
You were having a kid. That's when you had a little kid.
You guys were writing books. My God. I mean,
in all fairness, this is very funny, but I started watching Sex and the City when I was in college, but only because the reruns were playing on my free cable that I got in my dorm. And I was like, ooh, this is a good show. So all I knew about Sex and the City were the edited versions. And then,
oh my God.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's
because I didn't know there was a difference.
There's TBS version. Yeah, there's like the one that they show on basic cable or whatever we call it. And there's the version that's obviously on HBO. And I started watching the HBO version.
There's like no Samantha in the like regular in the edited version.
Yeah, they usually like cut like more than half her dialogue because they're like, oh, cannot repeat that.
It's so good. Now like, how many years later? Literally 2 decades later, I'm now watching the unedited versions on HBO,
now?
And it's
real different. Yeah.
It's sublime.
My God.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's still great. It's obviously got all the juicy stuff in there, but I'm like, I guess I should not be watching Sex and the City on TBS or whatever I was watching it on.
Yeah, you need the like full strength HBO version.
The full strength is so good. There's just major storylines that they completely cut out. Like it seems like there's like usually obviously 4 different storylines for the 4 different characters, and usually 1.5 of them, from what I've seen between the edited and the non-edited, gets completely cut out. I was like, oh my God, Samantha does this?
And they also tackle a lot of intimacy issues during sex. And so I think you're going to miss a lot of the emotional depth of the show if you get a lot of that censored out.
Right.
So
I love the show. I love it. Edited.
Edited or not, or edited, like limited or full strength, you love it.
I'm still mad that that Samantha's not coming back in these new episodes, although I am very skeptical of these new episodes, especially without Samantha. That is all I will say. I've said my piece about Sex and the City. Michelle, Who do we have for our guest today?
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of soulmates, we've got two soulmates in real life joining us. We are so excited for our two guests today. We have Christina and Lauren, and you will get to know their names and voices a little bit more. But Christina and Lauren is the combined pen name for these two longtime friends and writing pals. So Christina Hobbs and Laura Billings, they have written so many best-selling books. New York Times, USA Today, #1 internationally best-selling book lists, the bold and the beautiful and wild season series, Dating You / Hating You, Autobiography, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, The Honeymooners, which is hilarious, and many, many more. I enjoyed In a Holidays, which you will see in the frames that are right behind them. We post the pictures on Instagram, which I highly recommend as well, even if you're not in the middle of a holiday season. But their new book, The Soulmate Equation, will be coming out on hardcover on May 18th. So we highly recommend you check out their book. Kirkus Reviews calls The Soulmate Equation a sexy, science-filled, and surprising romance full of warmth and wit. So ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun book to write.
I loved this book. Speaking of soulmates, there is a main character named Jess, and she has a friend named Fizzy. Now, I know we're not here to put in any requests whatsoever, but
we're hearing it.
If I could just get an entire series, Kim knows we loved this character, Fizzy. Is it her last name Chen, or did I make that up? Mm-hmm. You guys, listeners, this whole book will have you laughing. This character in particular is might be hands down one of my favorites. The way you wrote her was so incredible. I was like, more of her, please, always. She was so great.
She's fun. I mean, it's always fun to have a character who's sort of they pull the drama back in a scene, right? Mm-hmm. And so Fizzy does a good job of bringing a little bit of humor or more. But yeah, she was a lot of fun to write.
Oh, she was great. And there is a lot of like a soulmate equation kind of between the main character and her friend Fizzy, because they're kind of really good friends and lean on each other, friends and family. And I think that's really sweet. I don't know if there's anything you want to add about the book. I know there were definitely moments where I was like, I want to like dog ear this page, because there were either things that made me laugh so hard or some things that was a declaration of love in there that I was like,
there is.
I can't.
Yeah, so it's a story of Jess Davis. She's our first single mom that we've ever written. And we really loved writing her daughter, Juno. We don't usually put kids in our romance. I think we both are moms. And so for us, it's not always a place we go. We know a lot of readers sometimes just want to live in a world where it's just about the romance. But Juno is definitely additive. She's a really fun kid. We really loved writing her and Fizzy and the cast, the other cast of characters, which is Nana and Pops, which are Jess's grandparents. And then the hero River is this sort of stoic, it's a grumpy, not grumpy sunshine, because Jess is kind of grumpy too. But the premise is that River's company has founded he's founded a company based on a technology that uses DNA sequencing and a whole profile of personality tests and emotional questionnaires and whatnot to create an algorithm that helps you find your soulmate through your DNA. And it was just really fun for us, I think, to think about how to make something like this feel realistic, even though it's not out there. What would it have to look like from a scientific point of view, and how would that work? And it was really fun.
It was one of the most fun books I think we've written. And it was really fun outlining it. Sometimes outlining a book is like a little harder, or we end up having to go back and redo something. But this, we wrote it like the endish of 2019, the beginning of 2020, I think. And so I had flown out to California, and we got the kids off to school, and we were just in the house getting ready to outline. And there's this moment where we like sit down and we like just look at each other like, okay, you start. and as many books as we've written together, we still so we always try to outline in person. It just works better that way.
Imagine.
But every single time we look at each other and go, how do we do this again? Like,
Always.
how do you write
Every
a book?
time.
Yeah.
So I swear we went through this whole like comically like I Love Lucy type thing where we were like, I've got note cards, I've got Post-its. What if we put them here? What if we put them on the window? We can move them around that way. Look, oh my God, do you have any wrapping paper? We could write
12 hours
paper.
later.
It really was. You would think that we'd never written a book before, and it was our 28th book. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
But we usually do that for a couple of days and watch movies and order food and pace in our kitchen and do all of these things. And it's just the chemistry that kind of happens when we're in that place and just bouncing ideas off each other. And that was just a really, really fun time outlining this book.
Oh my God.
I have
a
to
million
say,
questions.
Kim, I don't want to take away from Kim's question, but I will.
We should probably not have me ask these questions on the podcast because they have nothing to do with what we're talking about. But yes, go on.
That's okay.
But I will say I was so impressed. If you guys told me that you knew all things about like genetic testing, and I mean, I'm fully bought into this like fictitious company. I'm like, where do I send does someone need my DNA for me to find my soulmate? Like, I was so enthralled.
Y'all taking customers?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. do you want my money? Take my money. I was fascinated. You guys must have done a ton of research because I was blown away by everything that, not just from a company perspective, but when you're talking about Jess, who is very data driven and she's a statistician. I mean, I need to call my friend who does usability and be like, have you read this book?
I mean, we had a little bit of, help because my husband's a biochemist. And so he knows a lot of
is
stuff.
a scientist. She's a PhD neuroscientist, even though she's not going to say it.
Wow. Okay.
That's why.
But so, yeah, I mean, we definitely have some of that in our background, and,
Not me,
just making sure that it all tracks.
Me neither. Me.
I just didn't want it to read to somebody who has this, a degree in genetics and have them be like, this is ridiculous. So we did have some sensitivity readers who, and like scientist pre-readers we had read through.
That's so cool. Oh man, I love
incredible.
seeing how the sausage gets made. You know what I mean? Although usually that's a negative phrase. I mean it in a positive way.
I got you, Kim. I got you. That's all right.
Listeners, we are talking again to Lauren Billings and Christina Hobbs about today, declarations of love. What fictional characters declared their love in the best way? And let's go ahead and formally start the show. So, listeners, we're back. You're listening to Crush Fictionally. We are talking declarations of love. I just made up a song.
I love it.
Music producers, it's yours. You can take it. I don't need to have the rights to that. But yeah, declarations of love. Fictional characters who had to go out on a limb, express their feelings, maybe to their detriment. Who knows? We'll find out shortly. But before we get into our crushes and reveal, who we think had the best declaration of love, Christina, Lauren, Michelle, I pose this question out to the group. Have you been in a position where you had that anxiety of having to tell someone you love someone for the first time? I'm sure we've all been there, but does anybody have a special story or something funny that may have happened to them when you went to go profess your love for somebody?
This is where this is Christina. I'm going to say that this is my shortcoming in being a romance writer. That I met my husband when I was not quite 16, and I have been married to him ever since. And I just turned 45, so I'm going to have my I don't know what year it is, 27th, I think, wedding anniversary. I don't know. I got married in 94 when I was 18. So, he's the only person I've ever, like, I think, seriously said I love you to.
That's a good story.
It's so weird.
But that's teen love, though, right there. So was there like a cute little like teen love? Like, I don't know, like he took you to the dance?
We have the dumbest. No, we have the sort of dumbest, like, even how we started dating, that I liked him, but somebody else had asked him to a dance. And so I decided to turn up at this restaurant that he was going to. And then my friends, when I went to the bathroom, my friends said that it was my birthday so that he would notice me. And then I'm such a rule follower that I was terrified I was going to get busted. But so he came over to my house like a few days later and we started seeing each other and stuff. And then at some point he kissed me and he said, "It's official." And that is the dumbest. That is the like dorkiest.
No.
Like,
first of all, you said this was like the dumbest story, but I think this is like the sweetest teen story.
Where's the consent in there?
Oh my God. I love this so much.
I love that. I love that your friend like made up the lie so he would pay attention. I love that you had like the guts to go to the restaurant that he was at. Was he on a date with the other girl, or he was
on a date? He was at a dance.
Oh,
and
boy.
I came back from the bathroom and sat down, and all of a sudden there were these tambourines, and they we were at a Mexican restaurant. They came out and they were like, "It's your birthday."
This keeps getting
better. Sombrero on my head, and I went, "It is." And then the rest of the meal, I was like, "They're gonna find out it's not my birthday." And then when we sort of like, he came over, he was like, "How was your birthday?" And I was like, "Fine."
Oh,
I don't even know when I told him it wasn't my birthday.
That was going to be my next question. Was like, when did he find out your true birthday?
She's like right now when he listens to this podcast.
I know, right? He still gives her presents every.
He like shows up on April 1st. Yeah. And you're like, what? Oh, what? Yeah, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
That is so sweet. How about you, Michelle or Lauren? Do you guys have a funny declaration of love that has happened in your love life?
I just know ones where, I mean, I've had a lot more dating experiences. So I didn't meet my husband until I was 25. But I don't think any of them were that special. The only ones I can remember that were funny are when people said they love you, that I love you to me, and I did not feel the same way. And so I just had to like gingerly back out of the moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Thank you
like,
so much.
There were a few of those.
Has that ever happened to me?
It's definitely happened to me. I guess that's probably my funny story. Is I was dating this guy not for very long, and we liked each other. We were definitely not in a love phase. Like, we had only been dating for a short while, and I was at work and he called me. I don't know if we were like arranging like dinner or going out, whatever, that night or later on. And he finished the call and he's like, "Okay, love you, bye," or something like, "I love you." And I remember sitting at my desk at work being like, there was just this long pause where he realized that he said it. And then I, like, to Lauren's point, like, I didn't feel that way towards him. So it was kind of like, thank you, or like, bye, I'll see you later. Like, okay. Oh yeah, okay, bye. It's like, so
sounds good.
and it was just, and then I think that became like the elephant in the room. Like the beginning of the demise of our dating.
Do you think he meant to do that, or do you think that was an accident? Because, you know, like when I do that too, where I'm like, "Okay, love you, bye." I've definitely accidentally told people I love them because it's just habit for me to say, "Okay, love you, but bye." But like, do you think that was?
Because then we had to talk about it, and he was just like, "I feel this way," and I was like, it wasn't a mistake. Now this is awkward.
That's painful.
Yeah.
The guy who said it to me, it was at a concert, and I had an extra ticket, and he came along, and I knew he had a crush on me. I knew he had feelings for me, but I'm very tall, and in high school I was just not self-conscious about it. I liked being tall, but I was aware how tall I was, and he was very short relative to me. And so what happened was he did this thing where he started trying to like stretch to like kiss my cheek. And I was like, what's happening? This is so weird. And then it was this very like soft, like, I love you right near my ear. And it was just like the whole thing is so painful. And he like could barely talk to me again after that day. It was so awful.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh, they're there.
They're there.
As Lauren pats down below her shoulder.
Yes.
Like, thank you so much.
I need you to know that I, in Michelle's story, in my head, in a split second, wrote this entire fic in my head where somebody said, I love you, and hung up. And then she sat at her desk and was like, did you say I love you? Oh my God. And then later she's like, I love you. And he's like, huh?
Why?
Yeah. What? Wait, what?
Like not even realizing he had done it. And yeah.
That is a very.
I would love that. Then it would have meant I actually loved him.
There's an alternate universe where you loved him,
There was
Michelle.
an alternate universe where we're together.
And he said, I love you on the phone. And you were like, oh my God, guys. You turned to your coworkers. He finally said it. Oh, this poor man. All these poor men we've just heard about. Guys, I don't have a funny story about a declaration of love, at least not one that I can think of.
I wish there was like a funny story. I feel like I've seen it in either like a TV show. Maybe I read it in a book where it's like someone, like one person in this couple says like, I love this meal. Like, and there's like a long pause and like the other person wants them to say like, I love you. And then it turns.
Or wants them to not say it.
And it's like, I love this spaghetti is incredible. You know, like I just feel like that I've seen that. And I think that's just like a funny moment because there's that tension building between the two of them where one of them wants to say it and maybe then it doesn't play out how the other person anticipated. I think that's so funny. I wish I had that kind of story, but I think it's just fictional.
I feel like I've seen it in a movie, but now I can't place it, of course.
Well, the audience is waiting with bated breath. They need to know who our fictional crushes are this week, who've had the best declarations of love. Lauren, Christina, would either of you want to go first? You are our guest of honor, and either of you can jump in and let us know what fictional character had the best declaration of love?
Well, I chose one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Which is The Princess Bride. Where
Michelle's favorite
Wesley
I love that.
would tell Buttercup, like, as you wish. And every time he said, as you wish, whether he was getting the water pitcher, or he was like, you know, polishing her saddle or whatever. And he'd say, as you wish. And it just always meant, I love you. And then when he rolls down the hill and the mask comes off and he's like, as you wish. Anyway, I love
that movie. I have told Kim many a time that movie to me has like everything. You know, like the beginning when they're setting up the book and they're like, this movie has like murder and true love and, you know, like horses, like they're naming all these things. It's like sword fighting. This movie has like absolutely everything. And it's my favorite Carrie Yules, hands down. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've loved him since. Sorry, but it's true.
You know, I see him occasionally and stuff, and I'm like, that's a departure. What was the one the other day that I saw him in? He was in Liar Liar with Jim Carrey, and he's like the dorky new boyfriend.
He's the doctor guy.
He's in Twister.
He's in Friends with Benefits or No Strings Attached, one of those where he's the doctor that Natalie Portman hits on, but he's not. You're like, is that Carrie Yules? He's also in Stranger Things.
I saw him in something recently, and I was like,
he's a politician or a boss or something.
Yeah, and not in a good way.
But I have a great picture with Carrie Yules.
You
She
do?
does. I will send it. Yes, we'll make sure we send it to you guys.
Oh my god!
Because we met him
Simon
at a publishing
Schuster
event.
was having their 90th birthday party. Simon & Schuster's our publisher. And we were invited. And so there were like a lot of, you know, like Mary Higgins Clark was there.
Wow.
There's just like lots of, and that was the year that his autobiography, I think it's called As You Wish, came out. So he was there. And I have this picture and I look so tickled.
Can you see it? How cute they are.
Guys.
Oh my.
You guys look like a couple.
I know. I call it their prom picture.
Much older than me, but I was looking at the camera. Lo got it like I know, right?
Oh,
So I'm always
so
like,
good.
we look like we're going to prom.
Oh, that's a good picture. Yes, please send
We'll
us
send it
that.
to you guys. You guys can share it in the show notes.
Was he lovely in
yes.
person, though?
Yes, he was totally
Oh,
lovely.
thank you.
And
Yeah.
there were so many people at this. Well, okay, so first of all, the party was not super crowded. It was a very well done affair, but then the people who were there were very much like, zoop,
Right.
glomming onto him.
Yeah.
And he was really sweet. He spent time with everybody. He asked us what we did. He was like very, he was lovely.
Oh,
I
that's
love
so
that.
sweet.
He makes that role absolutely perfect. And if I remember correctly, there's like some interesting fact where like he was like turned on to the Princess Bride story through somebody or something like through his dad, and it was like handed down. There's like some really cool like dad story, which I'm not doing it justice, but I was like, oh, I really love that. I love that. And he's perfect as Wesley in this. Absolutely.
Yes, he's amazing.
What a good pick.
Thank you.
Now, Christina, who's your pick?
So the other day, I cannot remember what channel it was on. We still have cable. I know a lot of people have got rid of cable, but we still have it. And I just love when you just turn on the TV and there's like an event happening. Because it feels like you're sort of like watching TV,
Right.
like it's the Harry
Like the
Potter
good old
marathon
days.
It was a Patrick Swayze hair.
Oh my God.
And so they had Roadhouse.
Of course.
Which I totally forgot how insanely ridiculous that
Right,
movie is,
right.
but it does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
And then Ghost was on, and I hadn't seen Ghost in forever. And one thing I've like really been like loving lately is it's not always just the like initial "I love you." It's the like maybe the one that comes later or after they mess things up or something. And I just love that. I love that he says ditto, that he won't say I love you. And then that moment at the end when he's getting ready to leave and she says, he says, I love you. And she says ditto back.
Oh.
I just love that. Cause it's just their thing. I love when people have a theme.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is
Ghost?
a real good one.
We had an episode recently of oh shoot, why am I blanking on the theme? And I brought up
with body swapping.
Body swapping.
Wasn't it body swap? It was grand gestures. Sorry.
No, grand gestures. There you go.
I mean, either would work because
We've
Whoopi
done
Goldberg.
both. We've done both, guys.
Like
Listeners, we've done both.
Yeah, we have done both. But yeah, we had a grand gestures episode, and I listed Patrick Swayze.
Coming back from the dead for Molly.
I'm like, does it get any grander than a man who's like, you know what?
No.
I can't move on to the next world yet. I got to make sure my girl's okay.
And it's
I got to tell her I love her.
It's prime Swayze.
It's
Okay, I have questions about Ghost though,
Oh.
and I know we all have the same question. But when he takes over Whoopi Goldberg's body, is Whoopi Goldberg making out with Demi Moore in that scene?
pretty much.
Okay, but that's the same question as in Wonder Woman 2.
Is she
Remember,
making? Is
because
she
in the
making
second
out
Wonder
with
Woman-
the not Chris Pine guy?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's such a weird
It is.
thing that we're supposed to just suspend disbelief, which is fine.
It's totally
I've
fine. The
suspended
scene
it so
works.
many times
Yeah.
so
It's
far.
just like,
Christina read my mind. I was like, yes, in both cases they are, but we just never see it. So it's like you didn't see
Yeah,
it. It
we
didn't.
just-
It's like Vegas. Didn't
not
happen.
necessary. It's just not necessary. I will be there with you mentally.
Not that we don't love Whoopi Goldberg and her Oda Mae Brown, who fantastic.
Yes.
But yeah,
oh yeah. I mean, totally. I would be down with that scene. It's just like, I just logistically wouldn't that
It's
wouldn't
one
that
of those
pull
things
both
I
of them
think
out
you
of the
go,
moment
not
a little?
needed. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely that. Molly made out with Oda Mae. That's what happened. I love that movie. I love that pick. That is one of those films where if I'm not ugly crying at the end of it, I'm not watching the movie. I must be doing something else. I must be distracted because that moment, like the music's playing, you've got that glow around Patrick Swayze. The angels are calling him to heaven. He did his business. He finished his business here on earth, and God.
And her
Demi
single
Moore.
tear, her like eyes welling up, like the minute that Christina was describing that scene, I mentally pictured Demi Moore. She's standing there, and the single tear rolls down, and she says "ditto," and I'm like, "Same, Kim, ugly crying."
And that movie has such a great sex scene that's not even that sexy. Like, it's not, I don't mean sexy. It's not that sexy. It's not graphic.
No.
Like, they're just like the pottery and stuff. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's the hottest thing you've ever seen.
We're totally
And they
fine with
also
it.
just at their most beautiful. Like both of them are so beautiful in that movie. I'm just like, how?
Lauren,
how are you person?
Lauren read my mind.
She talks about it in her book.
Oh, she does.
Oh.
Yeah, she does. I think I might be making this up, but she cut her hair right before that. And they were like, oh, you did a thing.
Oh.
She just like showed up with her short hair.
It was
and
the
like
Felicity before Felicity.
Yes.
Lauren, stop. Get out of my brain, Lauren. Stop. I loved her hair in that, first of all.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
yeah.
she's got that. She can pull off that look.
She could pull it off back
Not
then,
everybody
for
can pull off
sure.
that look, but she can pull off that look. I don't mind it. I don't mind that pixie cut on good old Molly.
I will say, my mom is a huge Patrick Swayze fan because she loved Dirty Dance. She loves Dirty Dancing. My mom is a retired teacher, and so when she was teaching in school, she had a couple things in her classroom that she had stuff for the kids and like posters and stuff. But she had a cardboard cutout of Patrick Swayze, no joke, in her classroom.
I love this woman.
She grew up in Minnesota. She's a big Vikings fan. So she had like Vikings paraphernalia and posters. And so it was Vikings, Patrick Swayze, and maybe some other stuff in between. So not too long ago, I was picking up something at the pharmacy and I gave the gal my name. And she, who works there, goes, "Oh my God, one of my teachers used to be a Veray." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, my mom, do you remember your teacher's name? Because it's not a super common name, even in the Bay Area." But I was like, that might be my mom. And I was like, "What was your teacher's name?" She's like, "Oh, I don't remember her first name, but does your mom like Patrick Swayze and the Vikings?" And I was like, "Yeah, yep, that's my mom." So I called up my mom to tell her, and she remembered the girl. And I said, "This girl is like super hyped up on, remembering those two things only." And of course, then I have to go back to this pharmacy. She mentions it's like she's a goldfish. She doesn't remember the last time I was there. So every time she's like,
like
"Oh,
50 first
yeah,
dates."
exactly." I was like, "Come on, Lucy, 50 first dates." She's like, "Oh, my teacher, blah, blah, blah. Does your mom?" I was like, it's my mom. She's like, "Oh, is your mom into Patrick Swayze and the Vikings?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my mom." And so the other day, I was telling my mom, I was like, "I cannot go back and see this. That she's lovely, this young girl, but I cannot have this conversation for like the 6th time."
No, you need to go back and figure out how many times before she remembers.
She remembers that my mom is the one who loves Patrick Swayze and the Minnesota Vikings. And my mom, stone cold, is like, "God, I'd hope that's not the only thing that girl remembers." Like,
well, clearly it is.
I was like, "I think it is. She's doing all right. She's a pharmacist, but she remembers 2 things from her junior high school teacher." And that is Patrick Swayze is one half of it. So
This will be me because I worked in a junior high and I had a Harry Styles cutout in my office. And we used to decorate it for the holidays. And so somebody somewhere,
I can't wait. I can't wait for this moment to come full circle.
Oh,
they're like,
just
"Oh my
wait.
God, that
I wish I
teacher."
still had it. I would have decorated him this whole year and had him in my office with me.
Oh my.
It's March again, Harry.
I love it. You dress him up like a leprechaun or something for St. Patrick's Day. I don't know. We, spread them out over several holidays. I'm sure you can make the most of Harry Styles cutout. That is so funny. I wish my teachers had cutouts of hot dudes, but that never happened. The most memorable thing I think I remember is from the 4th grade. My teacher, Miss Easley, during Christmas time, it was, I guess, class requirement for all of us to sit around and listen to Jackson 5's Christmas album,
which is a fire album. That whole album is so
fire.
good.
It's so fire. I have no issues with this, but I'm like, certainly this is not the curriculum. like
she was so passionate about the Jackson 5.
All day, I'm listening to Mama Kissing Santa Claus. It was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But no hottie cardboard cutouts. That's for sure.
I was like, how do I get that Harry Styles cutout? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend, yeah. Michelle, do you want to go next?
I can. This was a hard choice, and it was a last minute choice, by the way. I switched it around right before we got on this call. But my number one crush is Randall Parks Marcus to Allie. Is this your number one?
This is okay, we're gonna talk together.
Oh, well, here, then you go, because
I love this so much.
Go.
Okay, so I'll do a quick thing, and then I'll turn it over to you, because then I can talk about the one that really battled this out at the top.
Oh my God, I love you.
But this is from Always Be My Maybe on a Netflix.
So
came out from
oh my God,
such a cute movie. I watched it, I think, once or twice, and then I was visiting Kim, and then we watched it again, and we laughed and we cried. I think that is just such a funny, sweet movie. There's so many great moments, and there is a moment where she says something to him where she's like, I loved you ever since we were kids. And I thought that was such a sweet declaration of love. And if you watch the movie really closely, he gets this look on his face, which is, I don't know, when Laura and I were talking about someone saying that they love you and it's jarring because you're not sure if you feel the same way. He kind of gets this look on his face, which I think is a testament to him as an actor. And he looks very scared, and she calls him out on it, and I love that. And just I won't do any of it justice, but when he goes and declares his love for her in front of all these photographers, and he says, I want to be where you are, wherever you are, I want to be there. I just was like, and then to Christina's point, like, I too love couples that have like a cute little thing or a cute story or an inside joke. And he says, can I hold your purse for you? Like, I was like, find you a guy who says, I want to hold your purse.
A dream man.
I mean, I feel like he is. I feel like they pushed each other to, not out of their comfort zones, but they were still true to themselves. And we've talked about this on this show before, but man, we love a fictional character who supports a successful woman. And I love that is, he had to get to that mindset to say like, oh, I'm not intimidated by your success or turned off by it. I support you and I'll hold your purse and be cool with it. And they have this cute little like banter. And then I know we're talking romantic love today, but there's some sweet declarations of love at the very end about his mom that I'm just like, oh, I love that. So I'll hand it over to you, Kim. I don't want to steal your number one. We very rarely pick the same number one. I don't know that
that's a good one though.
Yeah,
he's so adorable. I love him so much. Have you guys watched WandaVision?
It's on my queue. I need to get into it. Good. I've been very slow, but he has
the cutest role. I love him.
How far is he? Because I think I've watched like half of it.
He's in it. He's in it from the beginning. Well, maybe like episode 2 or 3.
Okay. Maybe. Mo will tell you though in the way that I watch things.
It's on in the other room when she's doing stuff.
But this is why I like K-dramas, because you have to pay like for that. The episodes can be kind of long, but you have to focus.
You have to read
the entire time. You can't be on your phone. You can't be this.
Yep.
I'm like, I swear I have been in the room while that show has been on for at least 5 or 6 episodes, and I don't remember him.
I know what's going on. Yeah, that's my boyfriend with his phone like this in front of his face. I will literally pop quiz him. I'll be like, you said you wanted to watch this movie. You said you wanted to watch this movie. And he's got this phone in front of his face. I go, tell me what happened. I'll pause it. I bet, tell me what just happened. Tell me just what just happened in this scene. It's very funny to see him scramble to be like, so she looked at him, and he took out a gun. Anyway, I love Always Be My Maybe. I know Michelle and I have talked about this in the past. I love Randall Park's declaration at the end of the movie. I mean, come on. I mean, he even says like, I want to have lots of sex with you. Oops, I probably should have left that part out. I cheapened this whole thing. It's very funny. But what I loved the most actually in this movie was Sasha Tran, Ali Wong's declaration of love, because first of all, seeing a woman tell a man she loves him without needing to be prompted, without him having to do this grand gesture, and then she's like, I love you too. I thought it was so forward thinking and progressive for her to own it, because they were in the middle of a fight. Like if you remember, this is a spoiler alert, but they're in the middle of a fight, as you can imagine in a rom-com. I love this quote so much. I copy and pasted it. I found it on the internet because I was like, this is so good. I just want to read it real quick. But I feel like it represents the modern woman, and it feels like a modern rom-com, and this is why I love this monologue. But she says, I love you, Marcus. I've loved you since we were kids, and I don't need you to live my life, but I need you to understand that this is my life. I want to be with you. I want to come home to you, even when you're being an asshole. After the opening, I'm going to go to New York, and if you don't want to come with me, then just say it. And it's so good. And, you know, spoiler alert, Randall Park says, I don't want to go with you. And she closes it out with
shocked. And I remember when he was like, I don't want to go with you. And I remember when I saw it for the first time, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, what do you mean he's not going? But I can understand why he's intimidated. And I had all these feelings. And I was like, the first time that you, Kim, to what you were saying about, she didn't need to like confer with her girlfriend and be like, should I tell him I love him? And what do I do? She just really confidently told him, and she was so badass about it. I mean, we already think she's badass.
She's standing in this beautiful dress outside of their house, screaming at him. He's like up at the doorway or balcony or whatever. And she's just like, I love you. And this is what I think. And I just love it. And then of course he rejects her, and she closes it out with, you're such a coward. And I was like,
good for her.
I'm like slow clapping
I need to
this entire
rewatch
moment.
This movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh,
it's
rewatch it. It's so great.
I've seen it. I love it. I just don't like, I was like sitting here trying to remember that. And I was like, is it in front of a lot of people?
That scene was when you were in the other room.
It's a good rewatch.
It's
I
definitely
highly
a good
recommend
rewatch. I think you'll like it if you rewatch it. But it's just watching that scene again. It brings different feelings every time. Like the first time, I was like, oh no, he's gonna say no. And then I was like, oh wait, did I want him to say no? And I like that she didn't have to do that thing that is kind of tropey in some like rom-com, where she had to like apologize for what she said, or that she had to like crawl back to him. Like he had to figure out his life, and there's this moment where he goes and visits her restaurant, and I think it strikes him that, oh, she did this. Like she worked really hard to do this, and I should be proud of it. I shouldn't be think that it makes me less than or embarrassed by it. I mean, it's real. And it's actually interesting just from a romance author perspective. And I was thinking about this today. Because there's this documentary right now. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I'll get back to the point.
I love a documentary.
It's called like Naughty Romance or something. It's on Hulu right now. And they interview a few self-published, independently published romance authors. And one of the things that is sort of thematic through this movie is that these women who found great success in self-publishing in 2012, 13, 14, were very often with partners who were totally not supported and were very threatened by their success. And at one point, I don't remember which author's husband, I think it might have been CJ Roberts, but her husband is like, this is hard on my ego that you're making so much money. And like, but not in like I'm being vulnerable kind of way, like, I don't like this, you need to do something else kind of way. And, it is really interesting to see a movie where a woman is like, listen, I love you, and you're just going to have to like be on board with this being my life and my situation. And I'm not going to play games and try and make you feel like the big man here. Like you can be the big man in your own way, but I'm not going to be a smaller woman so that you fit into this space. And I really love that. I love that moment for exactly that reason. And I feel like, in a lot of times in romance, what we see is a woman has to kind of soften herself or make herself smaller in order to, like, we see them fall in love when she has softened, right?
Yes, she's been torn down. She's been
or she's just made the decision to be more vulnerable and soft.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can still be a badass and be like,
and
okay,
vulnerable.
I'm letting love in, but I'm still a badass.
Oh yeah,
You know?
this is what you said is exactly why I love this monologue. It's so badass, but it's so vulnerable. It's like, yo, I love you, but look, like, you need to be cool. Like, this needs to happen. This is my life, and I'm gonna make this decision with or without you. Do you love me too? I love it.
Right.
It was like the perfect mix, right? Because she didn't come off like she was being like, they didn't write her, it was some ultimatum, and that she was being bitchy or whatever. Like, there were so many categories they could have put her in, like, oh, she's bitchy, or oh, the other end of the spectrum, she's like groveling and apologizing for who she is. And it was just the perfect amount. Lauren, I think you said like believable. It's believable. And I was like, good for her, because we were talking about it before. It's hard to say that you love someone and to make that declaration. And she said it with no apologies, and it was so lovely. And then it spurred him to think, well, maybe I made the wrong choice. So it was like, I like to joke, I love a good 2-for-1. There's 2 declarations of love in this movie, and I love it. I love them both. What's funny is we've talked about Keanu Reeves being in this movie, and how much we love him.
I'm okay with it.
It's a weird totally cameo, but I do love it. I love that Ali Wong and Randall Park wrote it with him in mind, and they thought that he would not say yes, but he got a copy of the script, and he said
he sounds like the best person. He just sounds so awesome.
Yeah.
Michelle and I like super stalk him whenever possible online, and like anything you find about him, it's all love and butterflies and sunshine. He seems like the best person ever. Not that I know him, but a girl can dream.
What he's putting out there looks great.
Yes. And so apparently he saw Ali Wong's Netflix special Baby Cobra, and he liked it so much that when he read the script, he said, I'd absolutely do this, happy to do it. And then according to Ali Wong, he wrote her and said, I would be honored to be a part of your love story, which he is quoting from her special. And I was like, so cute. Keanu Reeves.
Stop it, sir.
Stop it. Now,
Mr. Reeves.
I'm just going to say I won't fangirl out too hard on the book because I know we've already talked about it, but there is a character in the new Christina Lauren book, The Soulmate Equation, and his first name is River. Now, if you're not a hot guy named River, you are misnamed. Like, if there's a guy who's named River who shows up and is like, not good looking, you'd be like, ugh.
I have a theory about the name Sebastian, that you are only hot if you are named Sebastian. Like, if you are named Sebastian, somehow you are like hot as all hell. Anyway, I interrupted. Go on.
No, I think that's perfect. And I felt like when I was reading the book, I was thinking, I was like, God, River, that's such a hot name. It's like Keanu Reeves. Like, you can't show up and be like ugly and be like Keanu Reeves. And then you guys think there's like a funny joke about Keanu in the book, and I was like, man, these girls are reading my mind. But yeah, I love me a good Keanu Reeves cameo, even if it's a weird version of his true self.
Fun fact too, I was reading about this because I was researching the movie, and Keanu helped write his own lines in the film.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Isn't that sweet?
Oh,
and on top of it, he was totally okay with Randall Park writing the lyrics to the song titled I Punched Keanu Reeves that they used in the movie. Randall Park co-wrote it with Dan the Automator, but that just puts a smile on my face too, that Keanu's so comfortable in his own skin that he's like, yeah, dude, write a nerd, rap song about you punching me in the face.
I think the songs in that are so good. I'm like it's all a huge Dan the Automator fan in anything he does. So like, I wasn't surprised that he wrote the lyrics to that song or contributed to it. There's so much from the Bay Area, so I love anything Bay Area related. And so this has all of those. They're both from the Bay Area, and so it just has all of these like pulling at my heartstrings every single moment. And Michelle Buteau, who plays the friend / kind of like assistant, some of her lines, like I'm just rewatching this movie. I was like, I forgot. Like there's just still these so many laugh out loud moments when
it's a funny movie.
When she said, I won't give this away for people who haven't watched it, but there's something that happens towards the end, and Randall Park is like, why would she do that? And Michelle Buteau's character goes, you cute, but you dumb. And I was like, it made me laugh so hard.
Look, I think these were such great picks. I mean, we went across the board here. I know that we're going to get into honorable mentions real quick, and I'm sure someone's going to drop this in the honorable mentions. But last fun fact about Always Be My Maybe, they wrote it as a modern homage to When Harry Met Sally. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, that's good because that's also a perfect declaration.
I mean, it's hilarious, right? Like
when Harry does his whole monologue, like, you want the rest of your life to start right now.
Oh,
I
so
love it
good.
At the New Year's Eve party.
Oh, so good. All right. So we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk through some new films and new things coming out that we can take a solid guess that they have a declaration of love in there somewhere when we return.
Hey guys, so we don't have any official sponsors or advertisers for our show, but we would like to give some special recognition to businesses that we have used and really appreciate. We would like today to tell you about Semicolon Bookstores, which is a Black women-owned bookstore and gallery space in Chicago. They came recommended to me and have been fantastic. Although they are open one day a week in the midst of this pandemic, you can check out their website at semicolonchi.com. They've got a great list of recommendations from everybody who works within the shop and some really fun categories that are some books that are relevant to today, books for children and babies, as well as some books that you may recognize because they were made into movies. So if you get a chance, check out Semicolon Books. You can find them at Semicolon, that's SEMICOLONCHI. Again, that's Semicolon Bookstores, and that's SEMICOLONCHI. Check them out. They're one of the best bookshops out there. Thanks, guys. Welcome back to Crush Fictionally. We're talking declarations of love, and we thought, as always, we'd give you a couple recommendations on some new things that are coming out. This first one is one that I think I said to Kim, how soon can I watch this movie, after I described it to her.
She threw her money at the screen. It was like, Michelle, it's not available yet.
She's like, it's not. You got to wait. You got to wait a couple months. A new movie that's coming out, it's called Marry Me. It stars Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, Maluma. Oof, he is too hot. But you could have sold me on those things alone. So it's got J-Lo and Maluma. They play pop stars in a crumbling relationship after Kat, played by Jennifer Lopez, learns that Bastian, not Sebastian, but just Bastian, is cheating on her right before they're about to marry. She decides to marry a stranger in the crowd, played by Owen Wilson. That comes out on May 14th. And I don't know if anybody follows any of the hot goss happening in the celebrity world right now.
Feels too
I don't know.
close.
I don't know if art is imitating life or life's imitating art right there, but I will still watch this.
It sounds awesome.
Sounds amazing.
I just want to see Owen Wilson and J-Lo, and Owen being like, wow. Like, you know, his Owen Wilson self with J-Lo. I mean, come on.
He's just Owen Wilson in every movie.
It's very much.
When I saw the trailer, I was like, wait a minute. Who does she, the love interest is Owen Wilson? It's not Maluma?
I know.
Oh,
I feel like they really went to the other end of like the leading man spectrum because they could not look any different. And I don't know about Maluma's acting style, but I'm like, I don't know. I doubt he's out there going, whoa, Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
They're like, wow. And insert some Wes Anderson quote. I'm very much looking forward to that. Look, J-Lo, we talked about how J-Lo got snubbed with Hustlers. So, I don't know. J-Lo's like,
I love a good J-Lo rom-com. I'm not going to lie.
come on.
Oh my God, Made in Manhattan. I love that movie.
Isn't that? I swear that's her daughter's favorite. Like, she always asks me. I watch movies with Lo's daughter. She's 11, and we watch them on FaceTime.
Oh.
And she'll be like, at least 3 times she has said to me, "Have you seen Made in Manhattan or The Wedding Planner?"
The Wedding Planner is great. I love The Wedding Planner. She's great in that.
She is great in that.
I will say I also liked her in the one that came out a couple years ago, Second Act, with her and Milo Ventimiglia. I thought she
I
was.
didn't see that one.
No spoilers here, but I was thoroughly entertained. I don't think it did very well, but I'm like, that's all right. I wasn't mad at it. Next up, coming out on June 18th is The Heights. Now,
In the Heights.
In the Heights.
Mm-hmm.
In the Heights by Lin-Manuel Miranda. You guys know it as a musical that had 13 Tony nominations. I'll be honest, don't know that much about the play. I've seen the trailer, but I think that there's going to be at least a declaration of love in song form in this movie. It explores the lives of residents in the fast gentrifying and largely immigrant New York City neighborhood of Washington Heights. So I'm looking forward to that. I know it's been delayed quite a few times. I think it was supposed to come out last year. So we have that to look forward to. And then in between, on May 18th, you also have obviously the Soulmate Equation to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
You can pre-order it from.
That was a great segue.
You guys, I'm telling you,
we're gonna hold you over from like J-Lo to Lin-Manuel, so don't worry. CeeLo's got you.
These girls have got you. This book, there are so many moments, listeners, I was laughing out loud. I loved these characters, and I wish the characters and, like I said, this company wish they existed in real life.
There was I'll send it to you guys so you can include it in the show notes, and I'm not going to get all the details right, but basically there was a big science award given recently, and a high school student from Korea won it for creating an algorithm that matches an infinite number of males with an infinite number of females to find the perfect match for each other.
We're getting
so it's
closer every day.
getting closer. So it is sort of like, it's like the math version of what we were doing with the Soulmate Equation.
Right.
And I'm sure she takes all different kinds of characteristics and personality assessments and all sort of measurements into account. And I don't know exactly how her algorithm works because the NPR story didn't have a ton of detail, but I thought it was really cool that it like came out right now. And she's like a high school senior.
No. Oh my God. Stop. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
People are
crazy.
Just
Young girls are going to save the world.
They are.
I mean,
truly.
they've been keeping it propped up for quite some time.
We all been keeping it afloat this whole time, you guys.
Yeah, pretty much. But look, this has nothing to do with fiction, but I'm going to throw out a recommendation. There's a show on HBO Max, a reality show that I've gotten addicted to called First Dates. There is a UK version, an Ireland version, an Australia version. I didn't even know there was all these versions because I was only familiar with the UK version because I just so happened to see it on TV when I was in the UK one time. And I was like, oh my God, they got it on HBO Max. And now I was talking to my boyfriend because we were addicted to this show. And what I love about the show is that it's a restaurant that is purely for first dates, and they're blind dates because the producers set and match people together. So you show up, like say you're a dater, you show up as if you are going to a normal date and you check in, you're like, hi, I'm Kim, I'm here for my date. And, they'll walk you to the table or to the bar and, either your date might already be there or maybe they're coming right behind you. But it is so fascinating. And I said, oh my God, if I could have the job of being a producer of matching people, I would love to do that. Like they interview the people and get an idea of like who they are and what they're interested in, the kind of people that they are attracted to. And I guess they do their magic. And I swear, some of the people they match together, I'm like, oh my God, this person just made like, this is like a soulmate, you know what I mean? Soulmate situation. But
a
like
soulmate connection, just not,
it's like
not a soulmate equation, but close.
Not an equation, but it's definitely something where they're not doing the American reality show where clearly they're just throwing people together.
They're just trying to troll.
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Yeah.
To
I was
like,
just going to say that. I was like, are any terrible? Because I imagine producers finding ones that work really well
Right.
together and then ones that do not.
no, so you can tell that they're making a genuine effort. There has never been a date where the people where you saw them together and you're like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like they genuinely try. And anyway, I'm addicted to this show. I highly recommend it because I think it's very cute to see people potentially have that first spark. And you get to witness that. I think that's so cool. But anyway, in another lifetime, I was a producer on a show called First Dates.
That would be such a fun job.
I think that would be a fun job. Full disclosure, I have been on blind dates, but I've never been on a good blind date. Always bad ones.
So you're like Josh and Hazel from Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, where they just continually go on bad dates until they realize they're in love with each other.
The whole summary right there.
Yep.
Yes, I need that. I need
I'm gonna have
that.
to read that one.
But yes, I have been fixed up on many a blind date.
Also, this is not new, but just an FYI for anybody who needs to see it. I definitely have been needing to see it. But Pride and Prejudice, the original with Colin Firth, is now available on HBO Max. So if you need a rewatch or a watch for the first time, which is what I'm going to do, because I've never been able to find it for whatever crazy reason. I guess like the BBC had it on lockdown or something. But I am finally going to be able to watch the original Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth. And I'm very excited.
It's so good.
I'm very excited.
We've been
So
watching
staunchly Keira Knightley.
What'd you say?
Huh?
So staunchly that version. The Keira
Oh.
Knightley
Have you
version.
seen the Colin Firth one? I don't think you've seen the
I
Colin
mean,
Firth.
it's been on in the room.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I think they both have something to offer. Colin Firth is just he's so great.
I mean, I can only imagine. I think he's adorable in anything I've seen him in. Love Actually, what have you. I'm a fan. So FYI, that is out and about on HBO Max, listeners. Were there any other promotions we needed before we get into honorable mentions?
No, we covered it. We've got it all. We've got you guys covered between books, movies, and reality shows. You guys are covered.
Your content
until June.
Your content calendar is filled, baby. So, Lauren or Christina, do any of you want to throw out your honorable mentions for this week for characters who had a great declaration of love?
I think I'm going to change one of mine. I can't remember if Lo did this, but her and I can do this together. Because if anybody has seen Crash Landing on You.
Oh, no.
Is that one you're doing, Lo? It is?
I mean, obviously, I would do that one.
I didn't know that you did. Okay, then I'm going to do another one. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Then,
I was about to change mine as well because I originally had Clueless, and which is also adorable.
Yeah. Paul,
But Crash Landing on You is so cute because, I mean, this show is banana pants. It's so good. You have to watch it. It's a Korean drama. It is like so well produced and acted. It has one of my favorite actors. But the moment that she first says, I love you, it's in this like totally fraught situation where they're like on the phone and she's being kidnapped. And he's like, tell me where you are. Tell me what you see. I can find you. And she's just like, I love you. And then they take the phone away and he's just like, you hear a gunshot and he's just like, oh my gosh, like what is happening?
Oh my.
where can I find
It is just,
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's
It's
so
on
good.
Netflix.
Oh.
it is everything you want in a romance.
Oh.
It is like has the best set of like secondary characters of any show like I think I've ever seen.
Wow.
And like Lo has said this before, but one of the things like we love so much about like K-drama romances is that they are so unapologetically
Yeah, it's true.
about romance.
It's
They are
true.
so, but this show is just like, you think you know where it's going to go and then it goes someplace totally different. And another scene, Lo, is the scene with the ring.
Oh.
It's like
the whole show is amazing. You guys are going to start watching it and you're going to be like, I am unable to think about anything else now.
Or
damn that Christina Lauren, because it will change your life.
Damn you. And
so
thank you.
I am a person that when people tell me to like do something, if too many people are saying it, I get sort of stubborn and I'm sort of like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, just to be difficult. And this show is like, you have to give it a second because the first episode has sort of some ridiculousness, but once you do, if you were to talk like romance, it's like not hate to love, but they do not like each other in the beginning. And it is just, it's just so good. And the episodes are like 90 minutes long.
Wow.
And there's like 16 or 17 of them.
Oh,
wow.
So I just pulled Owen Wilson. Wow.
Yeah.
You will be
Sorry.
You will be so happy. You will
Crash landing
and
on you.
To set it up.
Crash landing.
To set it up, she is like a famous person in South Korea, and he is in North Korea, and she ends up in North Korea, and it's about getting her back.
That's heavy. Wow.
No, it's amazing.
No, I'm interested. You hooked me. Holy shit.
Oh,
it's so good.
I love
it. That's some shit right there.
I'm in. I'm going to start watching after we get up. I'm going to tee up my HBO Max and start watching some First Dates and my Netflix. I'm going to watch this. It's going to be all kinds of stuff happening.
I was addicted to some Korean dramas for a hot minute, and then I didn't know where to find them. I guess I could have just asked people and did some basic internet searches, I suppose. But
there's so many good ones, and they're telling stories and doing television the way that I want to watch it, that US TV generally isn't doing.
Wow.
And they have this formula. They got it dialed in. And it's funny. This is a funny return to the beginning of our conversation, because for especially the romance storylines, there's always the destiny plot, right? So they believe so strongly in these romance storylines. There's such a firm belief in these two people being fated for each other. And so there's always like some childhood connection, or some like one of them saved the other in the past and they forgot about it, and it's just like, it's really lovely. You know, they're very satisfying stories.
Look, you signed me up. You hooked me.
I love that. I love stuff
ready.
that's satisfying. What's interesting is like, I love stuff that's satisfying, especially like TV, especially now when things are like, it's been a tough time for all of us. The last year, the last couple years. One of my coworkers recommended this Japanese reality show called Terrace House. And I always think of reality TV in like the American context. So when Kim was talking about these first dates and that it's very like satisfying to watch, I think like the Great British Bake Off is they're very kind to one another. And there's various segments of Terrace House, but this one is the one that I watched I made Kim watch it too, but there's so many episodes, but it was also so satisfying because the people it's almost like a real world situation where they put different people in a house and they have to live together and see if it's not necessarily supposed to be a romantic connection, but sometimes romance does happen. But I was pleasantly surprised at how kind they were to each other. And I was like, oh, in US reality world, all these housewives do is swear at each other and throw wine glasses. And
I think that's a big piece of the fictional drama too, for me, is that like in US, well, I mean, this might not be totally fair to say, but I feel like when we say drama here, it means like family fighting and like loud voices and backstabbing. And there's definitely some like crappy people in these shows that we've been just completely in love with. But also there's a level of respect and calm that I feel like we don't always channel here so well. Whereas like, you know, you'll see there'll be like an argument between two characters, but it's like very matter of fact. And where like in a US drama, they might start yelling. These two people sort of go their separate ways, think about it and come back, or they agree to disagree. Yeah. Like one person doesn't have to be right, Yeah. It's very lovely.
Oh, that is so
I love it.
Americans.
That's just what we need.
We like to fight.
Everything needs to be like heightened up to 11. So wild. Do you ladies have any other honorable mentions you want to throw out?
Oh, go though.
No,
I stole yours.
good.
Go. No, go.
No, I already said mine.
I watched To All the Boys.
Yes.
What is this one called?
Always and Forever?
Now and Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So what I love so much about this, and I don't know, it's pretty new, so I guess I don't want to spoil it, but I had said earlier, one thing I love is people who are like fixing things or, that, and so they break up. And I remember watching it and I was having a really bad day when I was watching it. And I was like, I'm emotionally compromised. Don't break up.
Don't do this to me.
Because, like in the kissing booth, in like the first kissing booth, which I guess is a bad example, I don't know. But like they do the adult thing where it's like he goes off and she goes off. And I thought that's what was going to happen because in this, they do it kind of so maturely where they're getting ready to go to college because it's the third one for anybody who hasn't seen it. They're getting ready to go to college. She doesn't get into the school that they have been planning that they're going to go to together. I think it's Stanford, but I can't remember. Yeah. And she doesn't tell him for a while. And either he's making plans and he's like super excited and she's just like, yeah, not telling him. And they end up breaking up because they go on a trip to New York and she falls in love with New York. But like New York and California, how are they going to do this? And so it's this kind of like very adult thing suddenly where you have this high school love and then you have to figure out how that's going to work in the real world. So they break up and you're just heartbroken and wondering what's going to happen. But he comes back at the end and they essentially, I'm going to get it wrong. I know I am, but like they both sign, I think it's like a contract, basically saying like, they're not giving up. They're going to go to school. They're going to be far apart, but when they see each other, it's going to be even better. And they're both going to try and they're both going to like grow together and not grow apart. And it's so lovely.
So adult.
And it was so unexpected. I did not think it was going to turn out that way.
Oh,
well, I haven't seen that one yet, but it sounds adorable.
It does. Oh, it sounds so
you can
sweet.
still see it.
You can still see it. And I think I loved these movies. I loved the first one. I thought it was so cute. Her declaration of love to him in the first one. And then the second one wasn't necessarily my favorite of the three movies, but when Peter Kavinsky says break my heart into 1,000 pieces, I mean, I'm not going to lie, my heart did a little flip. I was like, oh, find you a guy and say that to you.
Also, he looks like he's like 30 or something. So
it's not inappropriate for me to think that he's a grown adult, guys.
No, I mean, I'm supposed to think like they're going to prom and he's 18 and I'm like, is he?
You're like, he's got a 401k.
He's got a 401k.
He ain't no high schooler. He got a 401k. He pays for his health insurance.
Pays for his own health insurance.
He's got a nice Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance through his employer. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds about Peter Kavinsky. Michelle, do you have any honorable mentions you want to toss out?
Ooh, of course I do. Well, first of all, I thought that we would be talking more about Pride and Prejudice. A really good girlfriend of mine loves the Pride and Prejudice. She does love the Colin Firth one, but she also loves the one where Matthew McFadyen is walking through the fog to see Keira Knightley. So and this was at my number one spot. This was going to be my number one choice. Debbie, if you're listening to this, I apologize. I didn't mention it as my number one, but we were recently at a socially distanced lunch with some friends, and two of the friends we were with hadn't seen this movie. And so my friend Debbie started describing this declaration of love, this gesture of him going, to find her because he can't sleep.
Strides through the fog.
It is a stride.
And she's describing it, and she knew the whole monologue, the whole "you've bewitched me," body and soul. And she's telling this whole thing. And one of the friends in our group is a guy, and he was like, He was like, okay, like, I guess. Like, he wasn't totally on board, but he was very kind to listen to us do the whole bit and talk about it.
Good.
But
it's so good.
I love that moment.
I figured we would all say that one just as like we all acknowledge this is the best declaration, and now we will choose the others.
Good.
My husband actually hadn't seen the movie, and we watched it last week, and he was just like totally absorbed in it. He's like, I can't believe I haven't seen this. This is so good. I was like, babe, this is like the foundation of the romance genre. Like everything comes from this or Shakespeare. It's just two different things, you know?
Yeah.
So
and when he says that, it just gets me. That whole movie gets me every time. And I know that Matthew McFadyen has showed up in other things, but he's in another show that I watch. And
Succession.
oh, he's in Succession.
Oh,
he's in
yeah.
The Last Kingdom as well, but not for very long. I'll just say that. That's not really a spoiler, but I'm just like, let's just go back to you striding and being like, you've bewitched me body and soul.
I
God,
really
that
love that
scene,
scene.
the light, the sun came up just for him in that,
Yes.
that moment.
And it's like they come together and the lights between them, and it's just like,
it's like golden hour. It's just,
It's perfect. Yeah, I thought we were all going to come in with that, so that's why.
we just all assume everybody is going to
This
pick
is
it.
true.
because-
True,
This is
true.
Yeah, this is true.
But what got knocked out at the last minute from my number one spot is from Little Women by Greta Gerwig, came out in 2019, and it's Timothée Chalamet's Laurie declaring his love for Joe. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I sat in the movie theater and I was just like, Timothée Chalamet, like I was kind of already into him, but when he does this whole monologue to her, he's like, I've loved you ever since I've known you, and I figured that you would love me, and I've waited all this time, and I can only love you. It just, I watched it again and I was like, it's so, so good. There's apparently, and I'm trying to think of one of our friends mentioned this to me, and I wanted to validate it, that he improvised a fair amount of that scene.
oh my gosh.
So,
wow.
Sir,
his heartache.
take it down a notch.
I know, but keep it right at that level.
Nobody can compete.
Oh my gosh. There's this.
Well, Keanu Reeves can compete.
He can.
Okay, but that movie is sort of ruined because I remember we saw this tweet one day that said that he looks like I'm going to get it wrong, like an expensive Italian shoe or an old Italian shoe or something. And now every time I see him, it's like,
That's so sad. Poor Timothy.
Aw, poor Timothy, but he's doing all right.
He's doing
we
all
don't feel
right.
that bad for him.
Nah.
But even though he does look maybe like a shoe, more on that later. There is a moment where he says all this thing. He says all these things, and Joe's like, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know Little Women. Joe's like, look,
anybody who has not seen With Little Women in all of the many versions.
exactly.
Yeah.
Joe says, no, thank you, no dice, which sadly, Little Shoe has to take. And then, and then he says something so heartbroken, and he's like, is that all? And then she says, yes. And he turns to walk away, and she goes, wait, except. And he turns around and he gives her like this look and this nod, and he's totally heartbroken. And he thinks that she's going to say, well, I love you, or I've changed my mind, but she doesn't. But the look and that he gives her is just also just takes my heart. There's also, I mean, talk about a 2-for-1. There's also a declaration of love at the end where she goes to meet Frederick, and her sisters are cheering her on. And I know we talked at the beginning about soulmates and friends who are soulmates of ours. And I was like, that's what you want. Like, if you're going to go declare your love to somebody, you want your soulmate friend, you want your sister, your sister or your sister from another mister, which is what I refer to Kim as all the time, that you want them cheering you on and being like, you got it. That's the right choice. And she says, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. And I was like, oh. So that was on the number one spot. And then real quickly, Edward to Vivian in Pretty Woman, when he takes the limo with the music and the fire escape. And
I love that scene, but that is the weirdest kiss.
it is a weird kiss, and it's
a
close up of a weird
It's
kiss.
a close-up kiss, and her eyes are sort of open and like rolling, and it's all very strange. Like that, I kind of have to look away when they start to kiss, which I never do.
Yeah.
I usually watch the kiss.
Watch
like
the
10
train
times.
wreck. Watch the train wreck as it happens.
But yeah, otherwise, perfect moment.
I think I love it because when she says, she when he goes, what happens when he rescues her, and she rescues him right back. And I like that as like a strong woman moment.
Yeah.
And then my last one comes from Parks and Rec, where Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt say to each other, I think it's when they're getting married, and they say, I love you and I like you. And I think that's so sweet.
That's so
I've never
cute.
seen Parks and Rec.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's so
very
good.
funny.
Yeah. That's one that you could
Missing
put
out.
on
Everybody loves
and definitely
that.
go into the other room.
And leave the room.
There's so many episodes. You'd be
I
fine.
watched it.
Yes, exactly. In fact, you probably did watch it. You just don't remember.
You probably did watch
You're
it.
like, wait, Amy Poehler's in that? What?
Yeah.
Is that where she got famous? What?
I
you,
will throw out my honorable mentions real quick. I just got two quick ones. I love George McFly. I know he's a pushover, but when he has his nice little character arc. He punches out Biff. He takes Lorraine's hand. Oh, come on. And like they look at each other and they walk off and their eyes are just locked on each other. I mean, I have no problems with this. I love George
I love
McFly
that.
finally stepping up. And also it's very funny, as Michelle mentioned earlier, him going, I'm your density. I mean, come on. That is just so funny.
Iconic. It's so iconic. I
It's
love
like
it.
one of the funniest lines ever written. I love that. I love wordplay. But yeah, George McFly, love you, and Back to the Future. And I'm also going to give a little shout out to Forrest Gump, because listen, when he tells Jenny, he's like, it's like after a lovely night, it's very calm. There's nothing big or too grand about what he does, but he just wants to tell her he loves her. He gets rejected, obviously, and he does his line about like, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. And I'm just like, yes, you do, Forrest. Yes, you do. You know what love is. And Jenny's just not ready to meet you there yet. But as I cry to the screen, I just think about how much I love that movie. But anyway, Forrest Gump, George McFly, those are my honorable mentions this week.
I love when he goes to visit Jenny's grave and he talks about their son, and he's like, if you don't ugly cry like you did in Ghost.
He's like, he's smart.
Yes.
Oh,
When he goes, Jenny, he's so smart. Oh my God.
I'm so proud. Oh God.
Listen, it's not a declaration of love, but I do love the fact that like she leaves in the middle of the night. And his first inclination is just to hit the road running. And then he goes on that running journey for like 6 months or whatever it is. It's like,
we're all like, wow, that is so relatable. I would not run across the country, but that instinct to just want to run. I get it.
like, and then at the very end, it's just so funny where he's like, what it looks like, I think it's the famous road, I think in Utah, right? And he's running, he's got his followers, that are running behind him, and he just stops and they're all like, oh my God, okay, guys, he's about to say something. He just slowly turns around and he's like, well, I'm really tired. Think I'll go home now.
I'll go home now.
And then he doesn't even run. He just slowly starts walking away.
Yeah,
walks away.
It's very funny. Anyway, I could quote Forrest Gump all day, every day, but so many. I mean, there's just so many great declarations of love in there. I think Sally Field as Mama is absolutely perfect. The thing she does for her son. I mean, me and my boyfriend still quote this quote when she, at the very top of the movie, she's trying to get Forrest in the normal school, into normal classes. And the principal is like, is there a Mr. Gump? And then it cuts to like them having sex.
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation. And then later on, poor Forrest is sat outside the house while, happenings are going on in the house. And later on, she's reading to him and he's like, Mama, what's vacation mean? And she's like, It's when you go someplace and you don't ever come back. Oh, yeah. It's just so quotable, right? Anyway, the things like she did for her son and like, oh, God, I just love so many things. Bubba, guys, we could be here forever for me talking about.
We need a whole podcast dedicated just to the love between Bubba and Forrest.
Oh, God, don't even get me started. Ladies, this has been so much fun. I hope you guys have had fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We are big fans, and we're so excited to have you as our guest today.
Well, thank you for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, can you let our our listeners know how they can follow you and your work?
Sure. So on Twitter, we are at Christina Lauren, and on Instagram, we are at Christina Lauren, and Facebook is Christina Lauren Books, and that is also our website, which is ChristinaLaurenBooks.com. And we have a Facebook group that's a really fun place. It's CeeLo and Friends. So we tend to be there when we're on Facebook more than anywhere. So
I love it. Thank you so much
for joining us. Listeners, please pick up your copy of The Soulmate Equation. You can pre-order it. It comes out officially on May 18th. It will make you laugh. It might even make you cry a little bit, but it might make you believe in destiny or density. You let us know.
both or both.
Both at the same time. We love both. Thank you to Campfire Media and Christina and Lauren. You know, for Kim and for me, you have bewitched us, body and soul.
Oh, cute.
In between episodes, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Crush Fictionally. And feel free to slide into those DMs.
Or tell us about your favorite fictional crush when you leave us a review on Apple Podcast, and we'll read your crush out loud on the next episode.
You've been listening to Crush Fictionally, with original music by the talented Edith Mudge,
artwork by the incredible Rose Feduk,
and produced by the amazing Peter Burns. Thanks for listening. I'm Michelle Varay.
And I'm Kimberly Trung. And remember to love yourself.
Because your love is real.
My name is Will Himes, and I am a ghostwriter, meaning I write other people's books for them. And I have a podcast called I Will Write Your Book, which are recordings of my meetings with my eccentric clients, such as a woman blocked after one sentence of a children's book about her dogs, a romance novelist who dislikes sex, and a man proud of having sampled everything in his local grocery store. This podcast has been described as fully improvised, played by some of the best comedians on the planet Earth. Hey, that's pretty good. That's I Will Write Your Book on Campfire Media.
Campfire.